Right. Hello, everyone. I actually really appreciate that despite the fact that it's already quite late, some of you have still remained here and came for this presentation. It is addressed mostly for the developers and mobile app testers, but I hope that everyone will find something interesting in it. All right, so as introduced, I'm a mobile cross-platform mobile app developer for about 2 years now. Recently, for some time, we started to use a tool called Xamarin Test Cloud, which is a way to automate your mobile app testing. And I will present you some interesting ways, actually, how to achieve that. But to start with, I will give you some, let's say, a real-life example. Recently, about 3 weeks ago, I became a father. I have a very nice, cute little boy. And now I spend most of the time with him, and I call it like a project baby, version 1.0. And in order to get ready to using this project, I created some kind of testing suite, I can call it like that. I was attending kind of a school in which I was learning how to what to do with a kid. So there was like 3 basic scenarios, which was change the diaper, feed it, and make him sleep. So I created kind of a test scenarios. I was testing them with the dolls. And even once I had a chance to test it with the real kid. So I thought, well, it's not a big problem. I will know how to do it. I will handle it. But unfortunately, on the release time, when I tried to run those routines, they apparently didn't work because they were not well prepared. Why? Because it was, well, I can call it like a newborn baby is kind of like a device manufactured by some unknown manufacturer. I mean, maybe not exactly, because in this case, I am the manufacturer. At least I hope so. But it's like something you cannot predict, but it's a real-life example. Fortunately, in case of mobile apps, it's not like that. We can achieve some, let's say, level of expectations. I mean, some expectations can be met by making sure that we tested the app properly. And yeah, in order to do it, we have to test it. So what are the prerequisites for fully understanding what I'm going to present? Some general knowledge about testing. So are there any testers here? Yeah, I see 1 person. 2? OK. I hope that that other people also will know what I'm talking about. But for developers, also because the developers are the guys who actually create the tests, but as you will see later, not necessarily. So some basic knowledge of .NET and C# is required, and some Xamarin knowledge. Do you guys know what's the Xamarin, actually? Who doesn't know what's the Xamarin? OK, there are a few of you. So in a simple words, I'll try to make it as simple as possible. The Xamarin is a framework, a platform to create mobile apps. Cross-platform mobile apps, so it's one of the solutions to create those kind of applications. So you can write the common code using .NET and C#, and then in the time of compilation, the native app is created, and then you can use it for the Android or iOS for the iPhone with the same code. Oh, sorry. Now, you can kind of forget about what I just said about the prerequisite to know programming and unit and Xamarin, because at the end of this presentation, I'm going to show you how anyone can create the automatic unit test for the mobile app. All right, so the contents of this presentation. First, we're going to talk about some approaches to automatically test mobile applications. Then I will show you how to actually create the unit test, automatic unit test, by writing some simple piece of code. Then we're going to discuss a little bit the issues that we have, the problems that we are facing when trying to develop a good mobile app. Then I will show you some more details about Xamarin Test Cloud, and then we're going to have a quick summary. Oh, sorry, I hear some question maybe. Someone is raising the hand. Did you want to ask a question? OK, so we can keep it for later. All right. So what are the actual acceptance test approaches? One test approach is do not test anything, because we all create perfect applications. Our applications always work. They are free of bugs. Did actually any one of you ever created the application which was free of bugs? Raise your hand. Oh, there are a few of you. So, I also actually did it about 20 years ago. That application was called Hello World, and it worked. There was no bugs, but in all the other cases, there were some things that had to be fixed. So those of you who raise your hand, I hope you didn't lie or you meant some very simple app. But the most common way to test the app is to have a team of testers. So every time when you deliver some functionality, you make a test release, and you ask your testers to play around with the app and to find as many bugs as possible. The other way to do it is to, let's say, publish the app and ask your employees or your friends to actually test it. So in this way, you have more testers. Maybe they will not spend that much time on testing as you would like, but still, that's like a bigger spectrum of testers. But when we have those approaches, there are some problems. Like repetitiveness. We have to repeat the test every time when we deliver some new functionality. Just to make it clear, I'm talking about user interface tests. Because in order to achieve some basic code quality, of course, we can write unit tests of the code, which test the logic. But for the UI, even though everything can work perfectly, sometimes on the UI, we can face some problems. Like I said, every time we have to test the same thing over and over again. So, of course, it takes time. It takes time, so sometimes we don't have resources, we don't have enough people who could test the app. So that can be a problem, and of course, the cost. So if the application is big, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of resources to test it. And the last thing is reporting. So, of course, when the bugs are found, we have to somehow report them. So when we have this in-house testing, sometimes people maybe they don't want to make reports because they say, oh, it's boring, the application works fine, it's OK. So what's the solution for that? Automation. So one of the ways to automate the test is to use Xamarin Test Cloud. But before I'm going to show you those automatic tests, here are some things, some features that we would actually like to be able to test when doing those automatic tests. So we want to make it as real as possible. So we want to use the real user interactions, like gestures, because when we do something with the phone, we touch it, tap it, double tap it, pinch it, zoom in, zoom out, all this stuff related to touching the screen. We want to simulate entering some data. GPS, because, for example, sometimes we would like to display for the user some things which are only available in some particular location. So we don't want to, let's say, advertise the restaurant which is 1,000 kilometers away. So we would like to be able to simulate the position. Same with the language. Imagine you have the application which is available worldwide, and it should work properly in, let's say, 30 languages. So how much time would it take to test all those languages? Because when we switch manually, when the tester would have to do it manually, that would really take a lot of time. And we want to see if, for example, German translations, German language is known to have some long words, so it may break the UI very easily. Network, as we know, sometimes we shouldn't use the cellular network transfer because it may cost a lot if we don't have a big enough package of the gigabytes. So some things should be done only when the Wi-Fi is available, whereas sometimes it's just enough to have the network connection. and some local settings like currencies, date and time format, floating point presentation if it's a dot or comma. So here comes Xamarin Test Cloud. That's a tool that makes it possible to test the mobile app automatically. So we can write the test and then run them using either emulator or the real device. Of course, it's better to test on the real device because emulator doesn't have all the functionalities. So that's why we should test it. And in a moment, I will show you. So at the time when you write the test, when you run the test, sorry, your IDE, your development environment is kind of blocked because the tests are running. The same with your mobile device. So virtually, your computer is kind of blocked. So you can spend this time in doing some more interesting activities, like depending on what's available. So the features, the main features, to say it again, the tests are written using standard NUnit library and C#. It is supported both in Windows in Visual Studio and Mac OS in Xamarin Studio. And it's very, very well integrated, what you're going to see as well. What is not supported, for some reasons, I will tell you why later, but we cannot manipulate with Bluetooth, throttling Wi-Fi, which is like simulating the speed of network, the camera, because we cannot do the pictures when the test is running. We cannot physically move the device. That would be actually quite interesting if it was possible. And simulate different battery conditions because it's on the real device, so that could break something probably. All right, time for demo. I will switch to Visual Studio. I will do the mirroring of the screen of the physical device. I've got one physical mobile phone. It's a Samsung, one of the top one, but it doesn't matter. So here's the sample application. I'm going to display it to you so that you can see it. All right, this is like a very simple. It's created from the boilerplate code delivered as a template in Visual Studio 2017. So this is like a simple app, cross-platform. It can be run on Android or iOS. Unfortunately, I will not show you iOS because for that I would require a Mac with me, but I don't have it. But believe me, this is a cross-platform app, and it should work on both platforms. So I didn't focus too much on the functionality because it's not about Xamarin itself, it's more about testing. So I want to show you how we can achieve this automation. So here's the app, it's very simple. There's a list of some items, like lists and details. We can add an item, I'm doing this on a physical device, and you can see. There is some small screen, I can show some toast, or I can free the monkey and put it back in a box. So this is like a simple app that presents some UI. And we want to test it. So I have already created some sample tests. One is just start the app and go to the details of some item on the list. The other one will go to the second page and simulate some clicks and check if everything happened as I expected. As you will see in a moment, the test is very descriptive. Those are simple words, like, for example, I'm taking a screenshot of the app in a current state, then I do the swipe, then I do another screenshot to check how it looks like, then I simulate some clicking, some displaying of toasts, and some testing some conditions. I want the toast to disappear in at most 4 seconds, and then I check if it actually disappeared. So now I will just present to you how those tests running look like, So let's run all the tests. So they will be run on the real device, right? This is the device. Oh, sorry. OK, you're going to see the app starts automatically. My hands are here. I'm not doing anything. Sorry for the change of orientation. So this test is adding some item to the list. The item has been added. I'm going into details of the item. And that's basically the end of the test. Nothing complicated, but that was not the purpose. The next test, we got 3 tests. So every time when the test is being run, the application restarts. So it has like the same conditions every time when the test starts. And I think now we're going to have the last test, the longest one. So let's swipe to the About page. Let's click on the button, see some toast, wait until it disappears. OK, so that was the demonstration of how those automatic tests are being run on your phone. Now I'm going to show you how to write the test. Is the size of the font sufficient? Can you see it, actually? Is it OK? If it's not OK, raise your hand. Oh, sorry, the guys in the back. I'll try to make it bigger. That would be nice if I had a mouse. Just a second. I'll just use it. I always use scroll in the mouse, but I forgot my mouse with that. Does anyone know quickly how to increase the font size in the window without a scroll in the mouse? Can anyone help me? Control-Shift+. It doesn't work. Sorry? Oh, yeah. Thank you. Does it work without any dongle? OK. Oh, thank you. Just a second. Sorry for delay. OK, it will work. Let's give it some time. Sorry for that. All right. Yay, it works. All right. Let's dismiss all of those. All right. So let's write a test. We use the standard NUnit library. Oh, sorry. Test must be public. Sample test. We have the application object, and here's the list of the things we can do with the app. So we can click back button, we can clear the text, we can show or dismiss the keyboard, we can double tap, drag and drop, and all those operations that are very common for the interaction with the touchable screen. So let's say, of course, we can take a screenshot, something like that. We can tap on an item. We can find an item by the text. So for example, if we have a oh, sorry, it disconnected. So let it connect. So we can easily locate the items on the screen by just finding the text. So if we have something like click me, then we can look for something like click me. And it's going to be found and it's going to be tapped. So let's check if this test works. I'm not sure if it's going to work if it's not case sensitive, but actually let's test the test. All right, so the app should be restarted. Starts again. Oh yeah, the test will fail because initially we are on the list, not on the About page. So maybe we should click About instead. Well, we have some timeout set before the test actually fails because it's waiting for the item to appear, but you see that click me cannot be found, unable to find element. So because we are on the main page, so we have About button to be clicked. So let's check. Whoa, something like that. And let's run the test. So as a result of a test, we should be navigated to another tab. So let's see if it works this time. Yay, it worked. So it's really that simple. You don't really need to know any advanced programming. You just need to, let's say, know how to say in English the operation that you're performing. and that should be sufficient. All right, so that was like a very, very simple presentation on how to write the test, but we're going to see some more advanced and more cool stuff in a moment. But right now, let's get back to the presentation. OK, so when we can use the Xamarin Test Cloud? There are several scenarios. When we start to write the application, like a new application, at the same time we can start writing tests. So that's the proper approach. But sometimes we get some legacy code, we get the application that is not tested, and we would like to have some automated UI tests. So normally we don't add the UI test for all the functionality that has been already implemented. We just add the test for the things that are new. And the common scenario is, let's say, when the bug is reported, then we create a test, UI test for the bug, try to fix it, and then try to run automatic tests to make sure that the bug doesn't exist anymore. Another nice thing is that we actually can test the apps which were not written in Xamarin. We can test virtually every application that is available for Android or iOS by simply using the APK file, which is the Android package, like Android packed application, or IPA file for iOS. So if we have the installation package for the application, we can just simply use it and write the test for the application that we don't have the source code. So what are the challenges when we develop mobile apps? The first thing, device fragmentation. Do you know what this can mean? There's like, yeah, no one would like to share their thoughts. OK, so yeah, what is the fragmentation? Yeah, exactly. So for instance, in case of iOS, we have about maybe 20 different devices. We have about 10 different iPhones, or maybe 15 when we count all the different variations, and some iPads. So there is about 20 devices. But in case of Android, there is thousands of devices which are available on the market. Of course, not all of them are very popular, but still they exist. And we would like our application to work correct on all of them. As you can see here, that's what I was talking about. Oh, sorry, this is about the operating system version, so that's another thing. About most of the devices right now, on iOS, they use the newest version, whereas there are still some who use the previous one, but it's only like 2 versions backwards. But when we look on the Android, there are so many different versions, and it's very hard to write the app which covers all the, which runs correct on all the possible operating system for the mobile devices. So this is actually how it looked in 2015. I couldn't find the most recent graphic for that. But as you can see, well, the most popular phone at that time with Android was Samsung Galaxy S3. But there are so many other devices, and this is like by popularity. So you can imagine how hard it can be to test it in all possible devices. So this is like a quick summary about the basic features of the 2 most popular platforms. So for iOS, we have like 5 OS versions supported right now, about 42 devices. I said 20, but 42. 7 different screen sizes. So you can imagine that your app can look different when the screen resolution is different. Many languages, many locales, and for the case of Android, there are many, about 10 operating system versions and about 24,000 different devices. That was for 2016 something. Oh, sorry, missed the button. OK, the other thing, application size. So as I said before, when we have many different setups, when we have many different languages, and the application is complicated, we have many different use cases. It takes lots of time to test all the functionality in every possible configuration. User expectations. So we want our application to be, well, maybe not perfect, but at least to work as expected. Otherwise, when the user downloads our app, but it will be crashing all the time, they will get frustrated, and they will get rid of your app, and they will not come back to it later, probably. So that's not what we want. And of course, different run setups. So we have to consider that the application can be run in different country with different network speed. So we have to take into consideration all of this stuff. Oh, sorry. So solution, run in cloud. Cloud is so cool. Actually, when I was walking on the exhibition area, I've seen on one of the stands something called, sorry guys for stealing the slogan, but I really liked it. All you need is cloud. So this is the solution, to run in cloud. But what can be a cloud service for testing mobile apps? What do you think? Does anyone have any idea? How can a cloud service look like for mobile devices? No idea. So I'm going to show you. So you've seen that we can run those tests on a physical device. But how many devices do we have? 1, 2, maybe 20 when we count all the other workers in our company that we asked for this in-house testing? Well, there is a cloud in which we have thousands of devices, and they're all physical devices. So we're not testing in any emulator. We just submit our test to the cloud. We can run it on virtually every device we can imagine. Well, apart, of course, apart from those devices that were released like 5 or 6 years ago, because no one is probably actually using them anymore, but probably some of them can still be available. So we can run on thousands of devices on every possible configuration, every language, every local settings. And isn't it great? How cool is this? So now I'm going to show you how it looks like when we submit it to the cloud. I told you before about quite good integration with IDE. So it's really very simple. We have this test project. We right-click it, and we can run the test in cloud. So we have those 4 tests. We will submit them to the cloud. In the output window, you're going to see that actually the application is being loaded. Well, it actually happened very fast. So now we see the message that we're going to be redirected to the cloud and select devices. And here you go. Those are all possible devices that we can use for our testing. Does any one of you have a phone which you think is not present here? So, OK, all of you have flagships. All right, so we can run the code. I'm not sure if we can see the results because we're kind of running out of time. Or are we? No. So we can sort by, let's say, availability, or maybe, sorry, estimated wait time. So if we choose this, let's say, ASUS Google Nexus, we see that there are 19 devices like that with Android 4.4. So let's check this one, maybe something with Android 6.01 and something with 7. Then we select it, run it. And that's it. The test has started. So we can see that it's actually running. Well, it's now first validating. Normally, for 3 devices, it should take about 8 minutes to finish. So I'm afraid we'll not be able to see the results of this test run. But I can show you, like I had the previous test runs. You can see like how many tests were run in a session, how many of them has failed. So we see there are 4 tests and 1 is failing. We can see how big the application actually is and how much memory it uses. So all the nice information we can have. And we can see the, let's say, the results of the sample test run. So I was running this test that I previously ran on the physical device. You can see how it looks on those devices. You even have the pictures. So you can zoom in. You see how it looks like. Yeah, so basically like that. So this is a cool thing. Imagine that you have a customer who reports you, I have a very rare phone and I really like to use your app, but it doesn't work, so can you fix it? How can you fix it? You don't reproduce this bug. But then you can try to run this functionality in a cloud. You can write the test, and then without the need to buy the actual device, you can test it on this device. And then you can have this customer happy. And when we do this screenshot in the test, this is actually the steps that will be visible in the cloud as consecutive steps of the test. So we can see all of this. Being here, we see the toast was displayed. We wait for it to dismiss. So basically, this is how we can check our tests. OK, so let's get back to the presentation. OK, and now the best part. Currently, it's still in the preview mode. And this is why I said on the beginning that virtually you don't require, it's not required to have any coding skills, because there is a tool called Xamarin Test Recorder. So you can record the test by just interacting with the app. You don't have to write a single line of code. So let's try to show it. The only catch for this is that it's required to have Visual Studio Enterprise Edition. But still, it's not like the biggest issue. So to record the test, we just click on the icon, which is another example of good integration with IDE. The app is being built. Sorry, I need about 2 more minutes, OK? And hopefully that's going to be enough. OK, it's running. Something's happening, hopefully. And according to Murphy's law, now my computer started to work slow. Oh, but there is hope. Oh, OK, let's get back to the to screening. You see the app has been installed. And now we are waiting here to see that the test recorder has connected to the app. And we will see in the bottom, well, we should see at least. OK, we see it's connected. And you see the new test has been created. So now I take the device and have a look on the code. So I'm tapping something, it appears. I tapped on About. I click on a button, so the button was clicked. I free the monkey. Oh, sorry, you don't see the screen, so I have to repeat that probably. But everything that I do is reflected in the test. So you don't need to do any coding. You just click on the app, and the test is being created. And then you can stop the testing. And we have a test ready. And we can try to run it. And let's see the result. That's the last thing I'm planning to show. I could talk about this for hours, but unfortunately, we don't have that much time. And probably some of you are already tired, and you can't wait for your beer on the evening. All right, so the app has started. The About was clicked, then the button was clicked, monkey was freed, monkey was put in a box again. We go back to the list and go back to About. So as you have seen, all this thing that a user can do can be recorded, and it can be saved as a test. So what can we want more? All right, so that's pretty much it, what I wanted to show. Here are some resources you can visit to learn more. You can also, if you're going for this party today evening, then you can catch me somehow. If you want to know some more, you can talk to me. And if we still have some time for maybe 1 or 2 questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, if you have any questions to Piotr, please raise your hand, and we'll pass the microphone.
Yeah,
the girl is running.
You said that we don't have access to camera.
Yeah.
We can make a photo and receive a black screen, or just an error?
No. When we submit the test, when we try to do something with the camera, it will be a failing test. Because those devices, like are physical devices in some maybe super top secret place, some in a bunker or something, we don't know where that is exactly, but maybe for some reason, for some security reason, they don't want you to know how it looks like inside this room where all those phones are placed. That's at least how I think it is. I've never seen it like in person. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, there's one. Sorry?
What are the costs?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Actually, well, there is a trial version for 30 days, which is free of charge, of course. But the basic plan, well, I'm not here to advertise. I'm not a salesperson, but the cheapest plan is like $99 a month, and you can run the test. There is like a limit of device time that you can use. So, for example, if your test takes 30 seconds, and you have a device time of 1 hour, then you can make just 10 seconds, sorry, 1 hour is 60 minutes and 10 seconds per test, so it's like 360 tests per day. So there are different plans, but basically the cheapest subscription is $100. But if you think about how much you can earn by not doing this by yourself, I think that's not a big money. And of course, if you have a very big app or a lot of apps, you can probably have some custom subscription, which is which reflects your actual needs. So I hope that was the answer. But if you want to know more, probably you can visit the page and you can see the details of pricing. Yep.
Okay.
There was one more question, if we still have time, because there was no other presentation after me, so maybe we can have a chance for that.
There is a person in the back row.
Yeah.
Thank you. What if it turns out that we would like to test something that it's not supported by the library that Xamarin offers? Is there a way to add some features, some code? For example, I'm talking about this scenario when the library that we use can't test the functionality that we would like to. Is there a way to add your code so that it could be, some functionalities could be tested?
Well, I mean, if your application can be installed in a mobile device and it can be run successfully, then we don't require anything. I'm not sure if it's possible actually to install some external libraries on a mobile device like we do in the desktop computers. For example, like if we want to install some kind of .NET framework or something, then we do it explicitly. But on the mobile apps, I don't think we do something like that. So all the libraries you should include in the mobile app itself. So when they are delivered together with the app, the phone should support it, I guess. So the test should, because if you can run it on your app and you can do something with your app, sorry, if you can run it on your device and you can do something, then the same thing can be done in the cloud, as far as I know. But that was actually an interesting question. I can do some research on that. And maybe you can write an email to me, and then I will try to respond. Because as for now, not sure, don't know. But thank you for the question. I hope you at least partly satisfied.
Okay, guys. Thank you, Piotr. Give a round of applause for Piotr for the presentation. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed it, and at least you're inspired a bit. If you never heard about it and you have a chance to use it, please do. And if you have any questions, feel free to write me and ask. And see you on the evening.